Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to take notes on literal equation. So, to solve a literal equation with one variable, we use inverse operations. Addition and subtraction are inverses of each other, opposites of each other. Multiplication and division are opposites of each other. Square and square roots are opposite of each other. What is a literal equation? An equation with two or more variables. Usually more variables than numbers. So, let's look at solving a literal equation. So, we're going to focus on example number 1. Example number 1 looks like this. So, in this first example, we are going to solve for x. That means we want x by itself. So, we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. And then x, those will cancel out. These have the same sign, so I would add them up and keep the negative sign. And so that's what x is equal to. Now the second kind of equation is the one right underneath it is the same kind of equation, except it has more letters and less numbers. Again, we are going to solve for a. That means a needs to be by itself. That means b needs to be on the other side of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract b from both sides. That will cancel that out. Those are not like terms. They do not have the same variable, so that's the answer. I'm not going to get a number answer. Next example. In this example, I'm solving for y. I need y to be by itself. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides of the equation in order to cancel out the 9s. A negative 9 and a positive 9 zero out. And so this would be equal to 43. In this next equation, I am going to solve for d. That means I need d by itself. That means I need e gone. The opposite of negative e is plus e. Add it to both sides of the equation so that I can cancel that out. These are not like terms because they do not have the same variable. So you could write the answer like that or like this. The order doesn't matter on addition. Example number 3, I'm going to solve for x. I want the x by itself. The 6 is multiplied by the x. The opposite of multiply is divide, so that the 6's will cancel out. 30 divided by 6 is 5. Negative divided by a positive makes a negative. I am going to solve for r. That means I need r by itself. 2 pi r is all multiplied together. You might recognize this as the circumference formula. So I need to cancel out the 2, and I need to cancel out the pi. That cancels out, and r is by itself. This does not reduce any. That is what r is equal to. That's the answer. Here, I want to solve for y. I want to get y by itself. Y is divided by negative 4. The opposite of divide by negative 4 is multiply by negative 4. That will cancel the negative 4. 8 times 4 is 32. Positive times a negative makes a negative. I want to solve for m. I want m to be by itself. This is divided by, and the opposite of divide by is multiply. So that will cancel. So v times d is equal to m, or d times v is equal to m, because order of multiplication, the order doesn't matter. Next, we have some problems that are a little bit more complicated. These are two-step equations. So I am solving for this L. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all of this stuff in one big group. I am going to subtract 2 pi r squared from both sides of this equation. So now we're going to have s subtract 2 pi r squared. That can't be combined because it doesn't have any like terms. And now I'm going to bring 2 pi L down to the next row, and all of that part cancels out. I am solving for L. I need L by itself. This is multiplied by L. The opposite of multiplication is division. Cancel, cancel. Now, a lot of people want to cancel this 2 pi r on that side, but that cannot cancel because of order of operation. We will go into that in a little bit more detail in lessons that are coming up. But I can't cancel out a 2 pi unless all of the terms have a 2 pi. So this is going to be x minus 2 pi r squared divided by 2 pi, and that's what L is equal to. It's not a very pretty answer, but it is the answer. On this problem right here, we are going to solve for W. W needs to be by itself. The first thing I need to do is get rid of the denominator. I cancel the denominator by multiplying by m. So on this side of the equation, I have m times s. That canceled out, so w minus 10e. I am solving for w. I need w by itself. The opposite of subtract 10e is add 10e. None of these are like terms. So m times s plus 10e is equal to w. Or w is equal to ms plus 10e. On the next page in your notes, part 9b, you would have to open up your next Cami notes. We have an equation that looks like maybe we're more used to using. And so this is a literal equation, and we solve one or two step equations. We use opposite operations. The opposite of adding is subtracting. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Usually, we would solve an equation like this for y, but we're going to solve it this time. There are situations where you might need to solve this equation for x. That means we need x by itself. We need to subtract this from both sides so that x will be by itself, and this will cancel. The 3 and the 6 are not like terms because one has a y and one doesn't. So I need to divide by 4, so that will cancel. Now, 6 over 4 can reduce. Okay, we need to reduce this fraction, so these are both even numbers, so I'm going to divide both of them by 2, and so this is going to be 3 halves. And that's what we get when we solve for x. It's going to be a little bit easier to solve this equation for y. If we're going to solve it for y, we need y by itself. We need to get this on the other side of the equal sign. So that will cancel this out. I need to get y by itself. That means I need to divide by 3 so that this will cancel out. The reason this is a little bit easier is because 3 divides evenly into 6, and so this is what y is equal to.